put a fork in the Phillies. Well, the Dodgers already did that.
Yeah.
But let's let's switch topics to wrap things up. So far on Carved in Stone, I've shared my Mount Rushmores of WWE jobbers, best concerts I've attended, Flyers, Goons, and State Quarters. Do you want to weigh in and give us your Mount Rushmore on any of those topics?
So let's start with concerts, and it's one that you and I both attended. Aerosmith and Cheap Trick at Wells Fargo Center. And I want to say it was what, 2002 or 2003, somewhere around there. Might have been a little
That sounds
later.
about right. It's funny. Aerosmith was on my my mountain, but not that concert. I've seen them 9 times. So
well, the reason why that concert is there is because we had the floor seats, and I got a high five from Steven Tyler as they came out of the visitor locker room. So, so that's why that's my high five. That high five is why it's on my Mount Rushmore. The other 3 that I would put up there. I saw Kenny Chesney at the Link in 2005. I'd say Kenny Chesney is your Gen X version of like the Parrot Heads, and that was pretty cool to experience. Because also I saw Dave Matthews Band in 1997 at Hershey Stadium, and they didn't sing, they jammed because singers lost their voice. And it was kind of cool because I didn't hear Dave Matthews going, hey, I just heard the band playing. And it was great because it was just like a big jam session and everybody was just having a good time. It was a really awesome experience. In 2006, I saw the Rolling Stones, and Rolling Stones are just an experience with music, with just their on stage performance, everything else. I mean, the Rolling Stones, any Rolling Stones concert, even today, I'm sure it's still the same. Like they're just high energy. It's all hits. Everybody's singing and dancing. It's a great, just an awesome experience to go to a Rolling Stones show. So that's my 4 for concerts on Mount Rushmore. And I have a couple WWE jobbers.
Okay.
You can't speak jobber and not mention, the Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi.
Yep, he was number 1 on my list. Yep.
Yeah. The number 1 there. More recent times, I would say Ricochet. He seems to be the type of wrestler that's always out there and just doesn't win a whole lot of matches, and he's high flying, and he's always had the the acrobatics and things like that. And he's a shorter guy, and he's always fast, but always ends up losing. Tag team, Tucker from Heavy Machinery. I think he got the short end of the stick, although depending who you follow, I guess he had a pretty serious knee injury, and that's why he's not around anymore. But I mean, he was a big dude who could move. It was fun watching him. I guess he's less of a jobber more than anything else. And then I'd probably say, I don't know, would you consider Shinsuke Nakamura a jobber?
So this is what I like about your answers here is that I watched wrestling in the golden era, but I stopped. I was from like 87 to 94. I don't know who that is.
Okay. So I watched.
You mentioned a couple guys who I'm just like, I'm sitting here nodding, but I have no idea who they are other tthan the Brawler.
So I watched it a little bit in that same time frame that you did. Well, the Brawler was around, I think, through 2003 or 4. Anyway, I mean, he had a long career in the WWF/WWE. And then I watched Attitude Era for a bit, in college and high school. Everybody ran through the halls doing the DX suck it. But I kind of tailed off at the end of the Attitude Era for a while. And then my son got into it, and when he was like 6-7 years old. So I've been watching it fairly regularly for the past like 6 to 7 years. And he really liked Ricochet, and I kind of saw Ricochet always kind of got the short end of the stick. Shinsuke Nakamura has had a couple titles and a couple wins, and he always flip flops from babyface to heel. And he's another one who's kind of been around long enough that I think they I think they could have done more with him and really developed more of a story with him. But he's always been kind of like we're going to run him for a bit, and then he'll have like a universal title, and then they'll drop him off, and then he'll have, a tag team title to pair him with somebody, and then they'll kind of have him fall off, and he's doing some jobber matches again. So that's sort of my take with Shinsuke Nakamura. So
That might be one
Flyers Goons. I mean, you had Barber, and I'd say he's probably number one, the enforcer. Who were your four? I'm just curious.
Well, so the way that I did it was I limited it to guys I've seen.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So I didn't include any of the Broad Street Bullies, so Barber wasn't up there. So I
Right.
wanted it to be guys who I remember. I thought the most obvious one was Craig Berube.
Yep. Yeah.
Let me see. I had Dave Brown.
Okay.
Donald Brashear and Dan Kordick.
Okay. All right. Stu Malgunas was kind of a bully, I guess, but